Julie Bogart here from Brave Writer, coming at you to talk to you about summer online classes. One of the things that you don't know about Brave Writer is that we have many ways to take advantage of our class program without having to take classes all year. So join me now, and I look forward to talking to you about all of that. Come on in, come on in. It's great to have you here. So glad you're here. I hope you have your cup of tea. I've got mine. We are really excited about the coming year for Brave Writer. There just seems to be so much firing, ever since my book, which you can see behind me, came out in February. We've just had this avalanche of interest in Brave Writer. So we're well aware that many of you who may even be watching today came through the portal of my book, The Brave Learner, and don't really know anything about Brave Writer or why we're different or how we started. So as we're talking about online classes today, I want to give you some of that understanding. You might even be an old timer with us and you still don't really know what's the pedagogical view of our classes. Why did Julie design them this way? And I'm going to give you 4 surefire ways to keep the price down, to make this an economical investment, not just a quality one, because we know that our classes require a financial commitment, and there's a reason for that, and we're going to talk about all of it now. So if you are just here to hear about classes, I want to begin by just giving you a background on how we've designed our class program and why I think it's so effective with homeschoolers. First of all, just like you, I homeschooled 5 kids. I did that over a 17-year period full-time. I had some years of part-time homeschooling and public school thrown in there after. And during those years, I valued 2 things, almost like they were sacred to me. I wanted no one to impose their schedule on my routine. I wanted to decide whether or not we were taking an art class on a Thursday or not. I didn't want someone to decide where I was going to spend my time. Secondly, I knew that I wasn't all that good at really long commitments because we might have a soccer tournament out of town. We might want to fly to California and see relatives. We might want to go away and ski. We might want to use our time in ways that a typical school year doesn't accommodate. So when we designed Brave Writer classes, when I did, way back in January of 2000, I knew that most parents could not commit to more than 6 weeks at a time. So our classes run between 3 weeks and 6 weeks long. That's it. Because if you're like me, you're about to give birth. You might have somebody who's getting ready to go away for camp. You might want to go on a big vacation and you're thinking, well, if I commit to this, 32-week year or 18-week semester, I'm absolutely going to miss some of it. That feels like a waste of money. There's a loss of momentum going into the vacation and a difficulty of regaining momentum after you get back. So our classes are really short so that you can sandwich in your really busy lives around that 3 to 6 weeks in length. We offer recurring sessions and they roll out every Monday of the whole year. So instead of feeling like, well, I didn't sign up by August, now I'm out of luck until December for the January classes, that's not how we operate. Literally every Monday of the school year, some new class is rolling out. And on some Mondays, multiple classes. And we have, I think, 47 unique classes, but they are offered in many sessions. So the Writer's Jungle online, for instance, is offered weekly, starting every week, all year, sometimes multiple sessions on a day. Here's why. We want you to have maximum flexibility. Isn't that why you signed up to be a homeschooler? The second aspect then of these sort of rolling out classes is that you can log in when it's convenient to you. There's no headset, there's no video, there's no live moment in class. They are real people in your class, and the teachers are living, breathing human beings who are available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Maybe when they're sleeping, no, but you can post messages to them anytime and they will get back to you within a day or two and make sure that you have all the information you need to keep going in the class. The reason for this is Brave Writer is now a global company, literally has been from day one. We have a huge devoted fan following in places like Australia and New Zealand. We have missionary, State Department, and military families who use Brave Writer, and they're stationed all over the globe. Places like Moscow and Thailand and Rome. They don't want to be hemmed in by having to log in at 3 in the morning or 11 p.m. just because it's more convenient for Americans. So our classes are asynchronous. That means you log in when you're fully alert, when you've got time, when it's a good time zone period of time for you. All of the writing that you need to do, all of the reading to understand the assignments is posted inside the classroom. There is no outside purchase that's necessary unless maybe, you take a book club or a movie club. But everything else, all the material that you need to perform in the class is provided to you. So you log in with your private username and password, you're in the classroom space, you can download the lessons and print them out if you like, or you can just read them on your tablet or your laptop, and then you will have time between reading and when the due date is for that assignment to work on it when you are the most alert, when your child is the most willing, so that you have a way to be flexible with your overall schedule with all these kids. We have discovered our families adore this way of doing classes. Occasionally we get a person who comes into our world who's not used to our style of teaching and they say, what about video? We've discovered that you grow better in writing through reading than a lecture. Lectures kind of go in one ear and out the other. It's difficult to rewind and hear the stipulations. The vocabulary is coming through to your spoken part of your brain, this part of your mind that takes words that come in and spits them out orally. There is something about the handshake between reading and writing that creates better language for writing. And sitting quietly and reading the assignment or having your mother read it with you. Those are the tools that make our classes powerful. And in fact, for some of you who are thinking, oh, my child can't read at that level or that's too intimidating. What we've noticed, even for kids with dysgraphia, dyslexia, autism, audio and visual processing disorders, having time to look at the concepts and take them in is far more important than listening to a talking voice. You can print, you can read a little at a time, you can collaborate with your parent, you can involve other siblings, we're going to talk about that in a moment, and that gives this child who struggles to learn the space to digest the concepts before they have to turn it around in writing. We always give enough time. So we post all of the week's worth of reading and assignments on a Sunday night, and you'll usually have all week to figure out when you're going to do those activities with your kids. It is a very powerful tool for teaching writing. In fact, we've been doing this now for almost 20 years, and I have to tell you, the growth I've seen in students in our online classes far eclipses the in-person teaching I've done in our homeschool co-op and as a university professor at Xavier. Those students miss out. They don't get to read other student writing and the teacher feedback on that student writing. They only have a dialogue with me, and it is short form. I can't take apart the printed page and comment on every sentence. They don't have the opportunity to do revisions the way we promote that in our classes. Our classes are like having a private tutor, but in the company of a writing workshop. So all the students get to share, all the students can read each other's work, and they can read the writer feedback from the instructors on everyone's work. Now, some people say, oh, my child is shy, they're nervous. No worries here. The way our instructors, our coaches work is so different than anything you've ever experienced. This is conversation about your child's writing. This isn't just English teacher evaluation, where they put squiggle lines and they write passive voice with a question mark and they say more detail and don't help you understand where that more detail comes from. Our instructors say things like, wonderful opening, I'm drawn in. You've created an aura of suspense by using this word. Do you know that is a literary technique? Like that. In other words, they are dialoguing over the content your child writes. So nobody is humiliated. We don't litter your essay with all kinds of grammatical understandings or corrections before we've engaged the content. That's what makes Brave Writer unique. So then people ask us, all right, that all sounds good, but I'm looking at the price and I don't know if my family can afford it. So today I have 4 ways that you can use our program for maximum financial value. And the first thing I want to say to you is this: the reason our classes cost what they do is that our writing instructors work harder than any writing instructors on the internet. I feel completely comfortable saying that. I know that's a huge statement to make. The internet's a big place. But here's why I feel like giving you that inflated, or what I consider accurate view. Because we hire English teachers, we hire professional writers, we hire people who are published authors, and they all tell us that they have never worked so hard as when they work in a Brave Writer class. We train our staff, they are supervised over the course of a year, and we are picky about how they interact with you and how much feedback they give and how well that feedback jibes with your child's personality, their skill level, and their special needs. We are constant, and when I say special needs, I don't just mean learning challenges. I mean a kid who's a soccer star or a child who has a really demanding play practice schedule. We take each aspect of your child seriously, and we work with them to help them have the best success they can have. And our teachers are exhausted after they've taught a class because we expect them to participate at such a high level. So that's the first reason that our classes cost what they do. That's why they are worth so much. It's because our instructors need to be paid for the devotion that they give to these students. So what can we do then to maximize your dollar? I've had parents write to me and say, well, Julie, if I was going to give my child a full year of academic writing classes for high school, it would cost me over $1,000 or thousands of dollars. Well, please don't do that. Here's the other thing you need to know about Brave Writer classes. Every single one is a deep dive into a writing topic, some aspect of the writing experience, and it takes a lot of work from your kids. Now, we pace it so that it doesn't overwhelm the rest of their schedule, but we know that when they give their focused attention to one of our classes for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, they need a break. Please don't feel you need to schedule them for another class immediately at the end. It would be wonderful if they took a 6-week class and then took a month or 2 off and then took a 4-week class. There is no reason. So tip number 1 is spread them out. Take 1 class, maybe 1 class in a semester, maybe 2. Here's why. You are giving your kids an opportunity to apply what they've learned once they are out of the class. So think of it this way. Your child is in middle school writing projects. We give them a lesson per week, and they are producing a beautiful kind of project by the end. Maybe it's a report. Maybe it is a brochure. Maybe it's a lap book. Maybe it's a video presentation. They have all these choices at the start of that class, and they work with an instructor to produce it, and they get all this rich feedback, and so do all the other students. Couldn't you, as a parent, print those lessons? Print the examples of feedback this instructor has been giving you, not just to your child, but to all the other students. And couldn't you, once that class was over, revisit middle school writing projects with your child? You literally now have a 4-week lesson all planned for you with examples of feedback. And you now can be the expert writing coach, which, by the way, my secret subversive agenda. I don't want you just depending on us. I want you to grow as a writing instructor. And you grow every time one of your kids is in a class and you ride sidecar and pay attention and download. All those lessons are meant to be used by you. So we wouldn't have our children who are in middle school just do one project in a year. But do you have to have it guided by an instructor every month of the year? No, you do not. And by the end of the class, you basically have been provided a 4-week lesson plan that you can download and print and use to guide another version of what your child just did. Maybe a different style of project, maybe a different topic, maybe another aspect of a topic they love. But now you've, for one purchase price and 1 month-long training where you're watching how the coach does this, you are now set free to do it again and do it with your child. So that is the first way that you can really maximize the value of your investment in a class. If you're taking an essay class, print everything out and now have your child write another essay without being in the class. This is good for both of you, and here's why. The class requires a certain level of attention and investment because it's got due dates. It's got other students in it. There's a lot to read and absorb on the first pass. But couldn't you slow it down once the class is over? So maybe the 6-week essay class, which teaches 2 different versions of the essay, you just pick one of those and decide to stretch it out over 4 or 5 weeks instead of 3. You do more research than you had time to do for our class. In other words, you reproduce the experience, but you do it on your timetable, and you do it with some understanding that your child is just taking a second whack at this thing they just learned how to do. So that's the first way. The second way that you can maximize the value of an investment in a Brave Writer class is to sign up for a class for one of your kids, but have another child in your family do the same lessons. They won't be able to turn them in for feedback, but couldn't you have, let's say you have a 13 and a 15-year-old, and the 15-year-old is getting closer to college and that kid really needs to work on the essay, but you don't feel ready to spend the amount of money it would take to teach the 15 and 13-year-old simultaneously in the class. Couldn't you have your 13-year-old do the essay as well, following all the guidelines, and you can practice giving feedback that is akin to what you're watching the instructor do? So you've paid one tuition, you're able to download all that information, you're able to read along, and your 13-year-old could be working directly with you as a first pass, getting comfortable, learning how to do the same essay work. These are ways that parents don't always think of, and we welcome it in Brave Writer. I had 5 kids. I know how challenging it is. I don't want to feel like I have to pay 5 tuitions every time I put my kid in a class. And because we make our materials, our lessons available for PDF, file, and print, you get to keep that information. It doesn't leave you just because the class is over. Does this make sense? So the first way is take a class, take a break, and do the lessons again from the class. The second way is sign up one student and have another kid, similar age, join that child in doing the exercises, but only submitting one student's work to the class. Then using the instructor feedback to help you learn how to give feedback to the younger child or the other child, whoever you pick. The third way then is the one that I love. Brave Writer has something I don't think other programs have. We call this a family class, a family class. And a family class is designed like this. One topic, usually writing adjacent, like nature journaling, Shakespeare family workshop, groovy grammar, playing with poetry. And these were developed back when I was really involved in Charlotte Mason as a lifestyle. I wanted to help parents integrate these into their writing lives and into their family lives. So I thought, well, these aren't as demanding with writing. They're not writing full researched essays or big writing projects or short stories. They are writing, but it's short form, and it requires less work from the instructor. So we designed these family classes where you pay one tuition, just one, and I don't care how many kids you have, you get to be in that class. So if you have 1 kid, that's the price. But if you had 6 or 8 kids, that's still the price. These classes are phenomenal, whether you have 1 kid or 10. What they do is they allow the whole family to participate in a class together. So let's say you've got kids like 13, 11, 9, 7, and you've got a 3-year-old. And that 3-year-old always feels left out, right? Maybe that child's 3 or 4 or 5, and they never get to be in the classes. Well, now you can say, I'm signing the whole family up for playing with poetry or groovy grammar, and we're going to do this class together. That means every kid can participate at the level they can participate. So in groovy grammar, one of the first activities is to collect words. Well, a 3-year-old's word collection could just come from their speech, and you could just be jotting down the adorable things they say. Your 5-year-old who can't read yet could just cut out words because they're pretty in a magazine. And you could start reading those pretty words back to your 5-year-old. But your 15-year-old, they might come from song lyrics, billboards, academic papers, the novel they're reading. In other words, everyone can play at the level they can play, but only one tuition. So your family ends up feeling like they're having a shared writing experience or exploration, as opposed to it being sort of focused, all this financial and emotional energy focused on one child, that sort of laser focus on the one you're the most worried about, and the others feel like they're not getting any attention. Do you know what I mean? One of my favorite family classes is playing with poetry, and what we've discovered is that's the class where in a homeschool family where mom is the home educator, a lot of times the dad or the other parent will suddenly hop in and participate. So when we say family, we literally mean you as well, not just your kids. The one we have happening this summer is Groovy Grammar. We've never offered a family class in summer before. I highly recommend this class. You might be thinking to yourself, grammar in the summer, but let me tell you, your kids have no idea what's going to hit them. The very first activity is literally running around the house, sticking words all over everything in your house. There's a fictionary they make. We play with the poem Jabberwocky. It is a freewheeling, delight-driven exploration of grammar, not as a system, inductively, discovering the power in understanding what is a noun and a verb and how all of these interact with each other in writing. It's a fantastic class. And even the assignments, well, I wrote them, so maybe I'm biased, but I wrote them with you in mind. They're entertaining. They're meant to be a little humorous, frankly. So this is not one of those heavy-duty grammar programs. This is a chance for you to get your feet wet with Brave Writer and to have a really unique experience with your family. So family classes. So far what we've said is take a class for one child and have the second child doing it, just not in the class. The second way is to have your child take the class and have them use the class, all the information to do more work, to continue that work. The third way is this family class experience where you pay one tuition, everybody's in that class. And for this summer, Groovy Grammar is that class. So the last one that I want to mention are our movie and book clubs, And I'm going to open the movie club page so I can remember what movies to tell you about. The book clubs start in August. So we have Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim for your 3rd to 6th graders. And then for your, 7th to 11th graders, we have The Hobbit. And our book clubs are amazing. First of all, they're our least expensive offering. They're $99 for a full month of teaching. The first week of every month of those book clubs, all we do is read the book and introduce ourselves. So your kids can start reading these books in June or July, or even the very first week of August, and they will not be behind. The second, third, and fourth weeks of the month, the instructor rolls out discussion questions, what we call big, juicy questions, and these are designed to get your kids to think, to probe a little deeper into the book, to start to see themes, to notice foreshadowing or opening hooks or suspense or the climax. The discussion is delight-driven. We don't correct spelling, punctuation, or grammar in these classes. They are meant to give you an opportunity with your kids to simply play, to start to access your thoughts and put it in your hands through the keyboard. Now, there are a couple ways that parents do these book clubs. One of the ways is they don't write at all. I've had parents whose kids are so blocked with writing, they sign up for a book club or a movie club, we'll talk about those in a minute, and the child never posts. Instead, the parent takes the child out for Starbucks or, root beer float once a week, and they discuss the discussion between themselves. So the parent literally uses the class discussion as a tool to have a big, juicy conversation with their own child. Now, some parents might have their kids do some writing, but that's not required. The goal here is to start stirring up the mind life, learning how to engage material and put it into words, and then to take some of those words and put them into the actual classroom space. Could a child talk dictating to you and you type it? Yes, that is equally valid. So we always consider the book clubs and the movie discussion club as a place to start with a reluctant writer. Kids don't feel like they're writing. They feel like they are just sharing. They're just talking through their fingers. It's a bit like posting on Reddit or Facebook or a discussion board. The real difference is there's an instructor in there who's pulling out more insight and thought hand over hand from your children. And you have the benefit of reading other child replies. So in August, we've got the Arrow Book Club and the Boomerang Book Club. And you should know that if you sign up for these, we also include a copy of the Arrow program. You will get the Arrow or the Boomerang for that month. So that means you will have a full month's worth of copywork and dictation and grammar discussion that comes with your $99 purchase. And these are $12 products. So you can start to see how the book clubs are so helpful to your program and are a nice low entry price point for those who are trying to get their feet wet and want to know if our other classes are a worthwhile investment for their family. The movie clubs, well, I just have to tell you, they're my favorite thing to recommend in Brave Writer. I often have a parent come to me at a convention or call on our phone or send me an email saying, I have a teenager who really hates writing and I don't know how to get them to write. Should I start with your essay class? And I always say, start with a movie club. And this is what happens to the parent when I say that. Start with our movie discussion club. What? And then I say, well, your child loves film is my guess, because film is the 20th century gift of a whole new kind of literature that we've never had in the history of humankind. And we are now embracing it as literature. It isn't just entertainment. I am fully convinced within the next, 20 to 50 years, film will be a much more constitutive part of even elementary, junior high, and high school. It's already a part of college. I mean, back when I was in college, I had to take a film class, and it lasted a whole semester, and I saw all these films. And it's one of my most memorable experiences of college. So this is every bit as rich as taking a book club or reading a book. So here's what we do. We pick 4 films that gather around a theme. Your kids will watch one per week, and each week during that week, they will discuss the film. And they discuss it with every bit as much passion as they would talk about their favorite video game. But here's what's happening. They're typing. They don't even know they're writing. So this blocked, reluctant teen who said he hates writing suddenly is thinking the deeper thoughts, transmuting them down through the arms and typing them into the screen. How awesome is that? And those blocked writers often enjoy the class experience so much that then they're ready to take preparing the essay prep classes or our essay classes. So here's what we are offering in July 8th, all about animation. The movies are Up, Persepolis, The Fantastic Mr. Fox, that's one of my kids' favorite movies, and The Land Before Time. So if you want your kids to be involved in discussions about animals and animation and these various perspectives, that is a fabulous one to sign up for. we recommend ages between 9 and 18. So your kids will have a multi-generational experience of students in the class. Starting then on August 5th, we are doing marvelous musicals. And I mean, some of you parents will want to do these with your kids. The Sound of Music, Les Miserables, West Side Story, and Dreamgirls. Now, here's what you can do with the book club and the movie club that also maximizes the value of your Brave Writer tuition. Watch the movies, read the books with the whole family. Can't everyone benefit from whichever student was enrolled in this class? Couldn't you all be watching the movies and you have one child participating in the class, maybe two if you have two kids who really want to, get to know other kids. But the rest of the kids, you could actually read the discussion questions and read the discussion and just over popcorn while you're on the couch, toss out some thoughts and get reactions from the rest of the family. You could basically turn the book or movie discussion clubs into your own private family class by having everybody participate. And I can't think of a better thing to do in the summer than plan to watch movies with your family. I mean, that's what it's designed for. We had one mom, I can't remember which year it was, but she hung up a white sheet in her backyard on a clothesline, and her husband rented a projector, and it projected their Amazon Prime movie onto this hanging sheet. And they all sat in the backyard eating popcorn, and they were participating in one of our classes. I mean, isn't that fun? Couldn't that be just an amazing experience with your family? So if you're looking for writing this summer and you want to do it a little on the cheap, take one of my 4 suggestions. You can either take a class and then you have all that information to use in the fall on your own. You can sign up one student and have the second student doing it just with you parallel to that other student. You can take Groovy Grammar, our family class where everyone gets to participate, or you can put your kids in a movie or book club and have the family read the book aloud together or watch the movies together and create your own family experience around one membership. Our classes then for the summer are as follows. We've been on now for just over a half hour. I will go about 10 more minutes and this will stay posted. So if you needed to go, thank you for joining me, but you can come back and watch the remainder, or if you are staying, well, I'm thrilled to have you. So these are the classes that we have happening this summer. We have several essay prep classes. You need to know that after everything I told you about all of our delightful classes, the essay prep classes continue to be the most popular thing we've ever taught in Brave Writer. They are without a doubt capturing the imaginations of teens who you might think are resistant to writing, in fact. There is something about these classes. Reading the essay. I mean, why do we ask our teens to write essays when they've never even read one? So they spend a month reading essays and typing about them. And by the end, these teens are like, oh my gosh, I had no idea what an essay could be. Dynamic thinking. This is a way that your teens are able to engage their brains without worrying about the format, learning what it takes to create the ideas that go in the essay. Right? Why are we teaching them the structure when they don't even know what they want to put in the essay? And then third one is called Essay Prep, Research and Citation. That's the one that helps them know how to do that kind of research, how to integrate their citations so that when they finally take our essay classes, they go in with a ton of confidence. They've read essays, they know how to think about them, and then they know what the structure is going to require of them. Now they can give exclusive attention to how to write the essay. And we have those classes this summer as well. So essay prep classes starting July 8th, another one starting July 15th, and another one starting July 19th. Those classes are a month long. You don't have to take them in any particular order. And you are welcome to take like one this summer and then take the others in the school year. But there are 3 of them and you can work them around your family vacations. We have the expository essay, exploratory and persuasive, starting July 8th. So if your kids took the prep classes or if they are already ready for essay classes, there is something about isolating the essay and learning it in the summer that can be very powerful for kids. If you have a STEM kid or someone who struggles with writing, isolating that skill and not expecting them to work on essays while they're reading history and doing math and studying Latin and going to co-op and playing in soccer. There's something about just 6 weeks, only that subject, that helps them really settle down and find joy in writing the essay. So I highly recommend that sort of summer school experience if you have a teen who needs that extra TLC and time to sort of soak, marinate in the essay. We also have a couple of really fun classes happening this summer. Penning the Past is a class for middle schoolers, maybe even early high school, for kids who are really enamored of historical fiction and might want to try their hand at it. That class was designed by the incredible Melissa Wiley, an author of novels herself. It is being taught by one of our coaches. A wonderful, delightful class for kids who love writing stories and might want to do writing for fun in the summer. The other fiction class we have that always sells out, by the way, is fan fiction. So Penning the Past is like an original story borrowing on historical detail. Fan fiction is drawing on someone like Jane Austen and then writing a story based on a story she's already written. So let me give you an example. My daughter, Johanna, wrote the story of Emma set in the Civil War. So she's using the same storyline and similar characters, but she is writing it in a new setting and creating her own sort of tweaks and personality quirks. It's sort of like You've Got Mail is a representation of Pride and Prejudice on some level, right? So that's what we're looking at. So fan fiction, your child can look at, do I want to write like J.R.R. Tolkien or Rick Riordan or Jane Austen? And then they're going to be guided to develop their own story. The instructor of that class is a fan fiction writer who has over 4 million readers. So she knows what she's talking about. And it is a fabulous class. Always fills up. And it's only once a year. So that's the class. If you have a kid who wants to do that kind of writing, get on it before it sells out. Let's see, what else? We also offer a couple of classes that are great if your kid is getting ready for that whole college, requirement. So we have SAT, ACT prep. It's the essay class. They will be writing the essays to prepare them to take the test. And then we also have the college admissions essay, which is the essay they write when they're doing the common application. Those two classes are wonderful for summer as well. And the reason is they allow your student to isolate while they are not inundated with the process of filling out the application and doing research and figuring out, all the courses they've got to get in their senior year before they graduate. So highly recommended. College, Common App essay, SAT, ACT essay. One more really fun class that we have for junior high, I meant to throw in there with the fiction classes, is writing a Greek myth, similarly to Penning the Past and fan fiction. This takes the source material from Greek myths, and then your students get to create their own fantasy Greek myth. I remember when both my kids, Noah and Johanna, did this. Johanna's was all about hope as a goddess, and Noah did one that drew on the Epic of Gilgamesh and set it with some kind of Greek god. I can't even remember all the details, but they both really enjoyed that opportunity, and it's one that I invite you to consider. Our own Kirsten Merriman, who runs all of our online classes, designed that one way back when, and it has been a complete winner, total popular class ever since. The final thing that I will tell you is my own mother, the author extraordinaire, who is one of our writing coaches, teaches a suite of classes we call Write for Fun. They are each 3 weeks in length, and these classes turn on young kids to writing like nothing else. Something between ages 9 and about 15. 3 weeks of just creative writing prompts. We don't grade spelling, punctuation, or grammar. It's all about the creative writing voice process. And I tell you this because she tells me all the time, it's the single greatest joy of her life besides her great-grandchild. She absolutely loves getting to know your kids. I get these random text messages from her with quotes. of your children that have delighted her. She starts her day every day looking over the assignments and just being so delighted. So if you're looking for a professional author, somebody who can help your kids dive in and discover the joy of writing, Write for Fun is great. And then the big kahuna, the final one I want to mention to you, is the Writer's Jungle Online. That class is drawn from my program, The Writer's Jungle. It is the hand-holding you need to be ready to start the year on the best footing. The Writer's Jungle Online is all about training you to be an effective writing coach to your kids. So how does it work? Well, you sign up one child and both of you are participating in the class. You'll be interacting with the instructor and your child will be doing the writing, and then you will type that writing into the classroom, and you and the instructor together are going to look at that work and help it grow. It is the single most powerful class we offer to help parents become effective writing coaches and allies to their children. If you want to start this coming school year with a completely different perspective about writing, if you want to go in knowing that you can teach it, if you want your children to experience writing as something they look forward to, not something they dread, the Writer's Jungle Online is the class to take. And the summer is a fantastic time to do it. We do, with all our summer classes, we do offer you flexibility. We know that you go away for the weekend or you're having the entire extended family over for the 4th of July. We know that. And so the due dates are a little more fungible. We make exceptions. We want to work with you. The only recommendation I make is this: do not be gone for a full week from one of our classes. That does not work. Our classes are only 3 to 6 weeks in length. If you're gone for an entire week, you will miss something significant and find it hard to catch back up. But we can definitely deal with the 3, 4, 5 day over a weekend kind of excursion and help you stay current with the class. Of course, you're also free to do our classes from any location on the planet. So for instance, I have a friend whose son took my classes every summer when they went to Greece because they were just hanging out with family and he was able to log on to the internet. We've had families in India do the same thing. So you are free to take these classes no matter where you live. And naturally, excuse me, if you live in Australia or New Zealand or south of the equator, school's in session for you. So take advantage of these classes where the enrollments are easier to get in because we're not in the traditional Northern Hemisphere school year. So that's what I have to offer you today. We would love to have you join us on our summer program. Our fall classes are also open for enrollment, and we are seeing quite a surge on fall. So if you know what you want to take, let's say you know you want to take the class that starts August 22nd for the fall, please sign up early. It will break my heart if you put it in your planner and then you come to me on August 15th and say, wait, what? That class is full? It happens every year and it breaks our hearts. So if you know the class you want, sign up so that it is secure and you can count on it. It's why we opened registration early in June, so that you aren't scrambling in August after things fill up, okay? We love having your kids, and we thank you for trusting them to us, and we hope that we can be your partner this year through our online class program. Have a great summer, everyone, and I hope we see you in one of our classes. Bye, everybody.